So, Professor Vaknin, please tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm the author of a book titled Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, which was the first book to describe narcissistic abuse. It was published in 1999, following 4 years of work online and offline with what came to be known later as victims of narcissistic abuse. And so I kind of fathered the whole movement of narcissistic abuse and so on and so forth. The first 9 years, I've been the only one, actually. I've had the only website on narcissistic abuse, and I ran all 6 support groups with 250,000 members at the inception of the internet. I then proceeded to become a professor of psychology, a visiting professor of psychology in some institutions, and professor of psychology in others. And to this very day, I'm on the faculty of CIAPS, Commonwealth for International Advanced Professional Studies in Cambridge, United Kingdom, Toronto, Canada, and with an outreach campus in Lagos, Nigeria. I used to teach in Russia, believe it or not. I was a visiting professor for 5 years in one of the most prestigious universities there, Southern Federal University. And then they had the audacity of invading Ukraine and terminating my contract. So I'm not sure which of these 2 events is more cataclysmic, but here I am, confined to the West.
Thank you very much.
That's
Thank
in a
you.
nutshell. Yeah.
What brought you to this particular topic? What is the interest for you?
I was diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder twice.
Right.
And my life fell apart, crumbled, every single element of it. I lost my freedom. I lost all my wealth. I was a wealthy chap. And in a descending order of importance, I lost my wife. So having hit rock bottom, I decided to study what it is that made me lose everything I've ever worked for and aspired to. And I discovered narcissistic personality disorder. That was 1995.
Right.
Narcissistic personality disorder was an unknown topic. There was a book by Alexander Lowen, dated 1974. Heinz Kohut coined the phrase narcissistic personality disorder, also in 1974. There were a few essays and I think a book by Otto Kernberg, dated 1975. And there was an essay by Freud, Sigmund Freud, dated 1914 and 1915. And that was the extent of the literature on narcissism and narcissistic personality disorder. There's absolutely no interest in any of this. People were much more into borderline personality disorder. They were just discovering attention deficit disorders, and so there was a lot of hype around other disorders, but no one has heard of narcissism. So I had to invent a whole new language. There was simply no language to describe the experiences, the inner experiences of a narcissist, and the harm and damage that narcissists inflict on other people in a variety of settings: intimate relationships, workplace, friendships, alleged ostensible friendships, and so on and so forth. There was no language. So I borrowed many, many terms from early psychoanalytic literature. For example, I borrowed the term narcissistic supply, false self, which was coined by Donald Winnicott in Object Relations Schools. I borrowed many of these, and I revived them, and I imbued them with new content, and I coined many new phrases. So, for example, no contact, I coined this. Flying monkeys, somatic narcissists, cerebral narcissists, all these were new coinages. I had to do this because there was no way to communicate these experiences. Now, language creates consciousness, and now that language had become available in the mid-90s, courtesy myself, people came out of the woodwork. Thousands and then hundreds of thousands of people came forth and testified to their experiences with narcissists, and this became the global victims of narcissistic abuse movement. And now, of course, narcissism is a #1 topic on the agenda, both in academia and outside academia, because narcissism is no longer a mere clinical entity. Narcissism is a principle that organizes our lives and imbues our lives with content and meaning. When we try to understand something, when we're trying to understand something in politics or in show business, or someone like, I don't know, Russell Brand, or we resort to narcissism as an organizing and explanatory principle. Narcissism makes sense of postmodern society and cultures, the current contemporary culture. So it has become far more than a buzzword, far more than a clinical entity, and it's fast acquiring the status of I would say, a religion in many ways. But we can discuss it a bit later.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much